What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be finally doing something that has been very much requested on this channel quite a bit, and that is a tier list. Now, I have actually filmed this video multiple times. I actually filmed a version of this video yesterday where I actually did it on all of the UK attractions because over the last couple of weeks I've been wanting to make a tier list video, but I haven't really known what to put in there, so I thought I might as well throw myself into the deep end, and I made like a whole UK theme park Merlin attraction thing, and it was over 20 minutes long. It was very boring, so I thought, why not actually just kind of cut it down a little bit as like a little tester video for this type of thing, and just do all of the Thorpe Park attractions that I have been on. It just that way makes it a little bit shorter. I can take my time going through different things, and also if you guys like it, I can add more content to this. I can obviously do an Alton Towers one, a Legoland one, a Chessington one, and that's all down to you guys really. So yeah, obviously if you don't know how tier lists work, obviously you have the tiers on the left hand side here, obviously, and then you just put all of the different attractions into what tier you think it would be. So yeah, with all that out of the way, I think we're ready to jump straight in. Okay then, so the way it's going to work, I'm just going to go from left to right. So first of all then, here we are starting with X. Now this is one I've actually been complimenting whether or not to actually put in here, because I wrote X absolutely ages ago, and this was kind of back when I didn't really go to Thorpe Park too much. So I didn't really know whether to put it in there because I can't remember it too well, but I thought, why not? It's a really classic ride at Thorpe Park. So yeah, obviously, like I said, I don't exactly remember too much about it. I remember that it was a really good attraction, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it was one of those rides that really kind of felt very unique to me. Obviously, I did ride Rockin' Roller Coaster over at Paris, and it is very similar to that on a little bit of a smaller scale. And I thought it was really good, so I'm going to put that up into the amazing category. I know some people may not really like the fact that I put it there, and a lot of people would actually put it in God tier. But like I said, I just don't have too many memories from it to really remember what it was like. But obviously, going off what people have said, it was very good. So, moving on to something that, however, will deserve a God tier is obviously Bouncezilla. Now, this is something that obviously Thorpe Park kind of delved into a little bit last year. They did loads of different events last year, and I have got all the events on here, I'm fairly sure. And obviously this type of thing wasn't really done before from Thorpe Park, or at least not for a long time. So going into 2019, a lot of people were kind of sceptical about it. Obviously we had Game Effects first, which will obviously be ranking a little bit later. But Bouncezilla really did change the tide of these events, because this was probably one of the best things Thorpe Park have put on in their entire lifetime really, or at least as much as I've been there. Obviously it was a good fun attraction, it was free, it was a really good thing to kind of represent summer for the park. So that obviously is going up into God tier, I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me. Now, moving on then into some of the Fright Nights attractions. Now, I have included Fright Nights attractions from this year, or not this year, last year and the year before. Those are the two times I have been to Fright Nights, so yeah, they're the only ones I could put in. I'm not going to go ahead and put in things like Cabin in the Woods, because I haven't been on it, so I'm not just going to go off and be like kind of a little bit sneaky there. But obviously first we have Blair Witch. Now this is something that I actually really had high expectations for in 2018. I really liked it when I did it, however there was something really missing for me. In 2018, it really didn't feel too scary. It was just kind of like a linear pathway. You had actors jumping out at you. It just didn't really feel like amazing, but it was a good maze, don't get me wrong. However, it weren't like great stuff. However, in 2019, they really did step up their game. Obviously, they added a lot of denser and thicker woods into there, and for any of you guys out there that know me personally, I hate the dark. And I hate going into woods, especially the woods in the dark. So in 2019, Blair Witch was absolutely phenomenal for me. I got lost a couple of times in there, which was quite funny. And I did generally do Blair Witch quite a bit last year. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into the amazing category. Okay, sticking with the Fright Nights theme, then we obviously have Creek Freak Massacre. Now this is another thing that I am really pleased with, and I'm pleased with the way Thorpe Park went with it. Obviously it's an absolutely amazing attraction. For those of you who haven't been on it, it really did, like I said, change the tide of Fright Nights. Like, over the last couple of years, especially in 2018, Thorpe Park didn't really, you know, live up to the hype that a lot of people were setting. Especially you'll see that as we go through some of these mazes here as well. You know, they went for quantity over quality, and that really did get flipped on its head for the 2019 season. They did focus more on creating this brand new attraction than obviously kind of using different, you know, new places to build up new attractions. They just kind of stuck with one, built it up, and then obviously added to the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into God tier. Obviously, yeah, a lot of people would agree with me on that one. I really do like that attraction. So moving on into a coaster then, our first coaster, well, first like major coaster on the list, we have Colossus. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a controversial one because I know a lot of people do like this and do prefer it over some other coasters, and there will be a little bit of a battle between multiple coasters within this, especially the battle between this and Saw. For me, Colossus is really getting on a bit now. Like, it's very, very old and shaky, and you know, Nemesis over Alton Towers, that is a lot older than this attraction, and that still runs a lot better. So it's just kind of a bit of an hard decision for me, because yes, it's a classic ride, but also it's very, very rough. It's not something I go on every time I go to Thorpe Park. I generally do go on a lot of the other coasters. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into good. Now, I know that may not seem great, but at the end of the day, none of these say trash on here. I do love every single one of the attractions I am ranking. So at the end of the day, I love all these attractions. Just because I put it a little bit lower than the other ones doesn't mean to say I hate it. Now, moving on to another Fright Nights one, especially from 2018, and you may not really recognise that because it's kind of been cut a little bit awkwardly, but we have Big Top Showtime. Now, obviously, I did not actually, unfortunately, get to experience Big Top when it was at the park, and I'm really, really gutted about that. Because it did say, like, it did, you know, have a reputation of being one of the best mazes, but I did get to experience Big Top Showtime in 2018. I'll try and insert some clips on the screen now that I got from that, and I really did enjoy it, but I don't know how much that lived up to the Big Top in that way, so I'm going to go put that into amazing. It was a really good kind of show, and I think Thorpe Park did something very, very similar with Terror Amity High last year. Obviously, they didn't have Big Top Showtime last year, so yeah, I'm happy with what Thorpe are doing in that respect, having these shows, but Big Top Showtime was a little bit more of a scare zone mixed with the show, or at least a little bit more than Amity High was. So I'm going to put that in there. Like I said, I don't really have the Big Top to reference to, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. Now, obviously, keeping on with the Fright Night stuff, then we now have Do or Die. Now, this was one of the most important ones in my history of actually going to Thorpe Park, because this was one of my first scare mazes ever, or at least one of my first proper scare mazes. This was one of the first ones I did in 2018, and was actually my favourite maze in 2018. Obviously, it's a very different experience for me, especially to some of the other ones, because a lot of the other attractions at different scare events are generally either indoors or completely outdoors, but doing Do or Die really did solidify that as a special maze, because you were going indoors, outdoors, and it was a really cool and unique thing to experience, and was very, very scary, especially with the chainsaw ending and the very cramped kind of container ending as well. Obviously, it did get better in 2019. Obviously, the chainsaws weren't there, they were obviously over in Creek Freak, but yeah, I would say that was very, very good, and I'm going to put that into amazing. Now, we have Game Effects next, which is another quite difficult one for me, because I did really enjoy this, but I know quite a few people actually don't like this attraction because of its nature of playing games in the theme park. Like, when I first heard this was announced, I was very, very confused why you would play games at a theme park, but as I actually went into the event and experienced it multiple times, I kind of did game effects every single time I went to Thorpe Park while I was on, because obviously it was a free attraction. And yeah, each time I went in there it got better. Obviously I had the VR station, which I did try, and it was very, very fun. Obviously you got the free walk the plank experience, which was terrifying, but it was very, very entertaining. They had the kind of massive screen up there, they had tournaments, it was a lot more well done than I thought it would be. I thought they'd just set up a few screens and just let people play, but they had a lot of stuff going on in there, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in good. It's nothing special, but it was a good attraction. Now, moving on to another Fright Nights attraction, I'm pretty sure it's one of our last ones here. We have Living Nightmare. Now, this is one that obviously is quite topical now, because Living Nightmare has obviously left the Thorpe Park Resort now. With it obviously going through the change into Black Mirror, it did mean we had to lose this. And it's a really good Fright Nights maze spot as well that we had to lose within that old X extended queue line. However, Living Nightmare was getting on a bit. It was kind of, you know, becoming one of those old attractions at the event. Don't get me wrong, 2019 really was a huge step up. I like how they changed the ending scene in the kind of jungle setting. I thought that was really, really cool. I've never watched the show before, so I don't know whether that relates to anything, but I'm going to go put that into amazing. Again, a really, really solid attraction, and 100% would put it down as one of my favourite Fright Nights attractions. Okay then, so moving on to another kind of controversial one on this list, we have Vulcan Peak. Now, I only experienced Vulcan Peak once because I only went to Fright Nights 2018 once. However, I know over the course of the time that it went at the park and went at the event, it did gradually get better. However, I experienced it quite early on, and I must say I did thoroughly enjoy it. It was one of those attractions that really scared the bejesus out of me that year. Not because obviously it was my first Fright Nights maze. It was also because I've never experienced a hooded maze before, and it was frightening in that sense. But the more I kind of went into the attraction, the more I was in there for longer, I just kind of started to get less and less scared. They had loads of stuff they could have utilised within the I'm a Celebrity building for this attraction. They could have utilised the cabinets or like the little holding cells they had. They could have had a little bit more live action stuff in there when you actually take the hood off and then put it back on again. And a mix of that would have made it a lot scarier for me, and it would have kind of made me think, whoa, what's going on, and putting this back on again. But at the end of the day, it was a good attraction, so I'm going to go ahead and put that into the good tier. Like I said, it did get a little bit better, but I know a few people didn't really like that, and me included, I thought it was a bit weak. But yeah, it was just kind of one of those attractions. Now, moving on to something that's in the same building and was not for Fright Nights, we have Jungle Escape. Now, a lot of people that know me personally will know my thoughts on Jungle Escape. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's one of those attractions for me where I just, it was an upcharge attraction that didn't really need to be an upcharge attraction. I get that it's an escape room, but it was a very linear experience and it was kind of very short. Especially coming off the back of this, I obviously experienced the Alton Towers Dungeons, which opened the exact same year. And because I had so much lower expectations after going into Jungle Escape, the Alton Towers Dungeons really did blow me away, and it was probably one of the best £5 I've ever spent in my life. However, this was just one of those ones that I don't think would warrant me paying for it too much. The Alton Towers Dungeons I could quite happily do all day and pay for multiple times, but this is just one of those ones that I think I'll pay for every now and then. I can see more appeal to children because it's very much tailored to that, but especially we'll see that when we move on into containment in a second. But yeah, it just didn't really do what I wanted it to for me. Obviously, that's completely fine. It was just kind of targeted another demographic. But yeah, I'm going to go put that in the okay section. And I know a lot of people may be angry with that one, but that's just the way it's going to be going. And now, the Ghost Train. This is another controversial one. We've got a lot of controversial ones in this, actually. Obviously, this is something that is very special to me as well, because this was one of the first attractions I did at Thorpe Park. And yeah, it holds a very special place in my heart because of that end fake shop scene. It really did scare the hell out of me when I first went on it, especially with my friends. And I've played many pranks on my family and friends, acting like nothing's going on in there, and then obviously it all kicks off. It is a very funny thing that does hold a lot of memories for me. So I'm going to go put that in Breathtaking. And the reason why I've done that is because a lot of people give give the Ghost Train a very bad rap. And I think when you look at it, yes, it isn't re-rideable. When you look at the stuff that's actually in there, you've got some amazing set pieces, some brilliant cutting edge technology when it does actually work, but it is very good, obviously, and it's got cool stories to it. And I think Thorpe Park put a lot of money into this attraction, and I do really enjoy it. Yes, I would have liked a coaster instead of it that year, but at the end of the day, we can't always get what we want. Okay, so moving on then into a Fright Nights attraction again. I think this is the second to last Fright Nights attraction we got on here, and that is Containment. Now, Containment is one of those attractions that I would quite happily have during the main season. Containment I would happily pay for, like generally every now and then when I go to Thorpe Park. It's one of those escape rooms that is generally very terrifying. Not only are you trapped in a cramped space, but also you're trapped in that cramped space with an actor. So it's extremely scary in my eyes and my opinion. And I really did enjoy it when I did it last Fright Nights. That's my first time doing it the last Fright Nights. I didn't do it in 2018, I just didn't have the money at the time, but last year I did experience it with my friends, and the puzzles are actually really hard. Me, whether or not that's just my terrible IQ or not, but yeah, I found it very challenging. I'm going to go put that in Breathtaking as well. I thought as a walk through an escape room attraction for Fright Nights for a couple of quid, it was an extremely good attraction. Okay then, so moving on to some more coasters, because we've been a little bit of a gap in the coasters here. We've got Nemesis Inferno. Now, this is difficult to me, and before anyone kicks off asking me which one I prefer better, I like Nemesis and Nemesis Inferno equally, so I don't really care which one goes where. pretty much wherever I put this attraction, Nemesis will go into, because I like them both equally. Nemesis for me is a really cool theme, and I think that, you know, it gets a bad rap because it has the Nemesis name. The whole tunnel section at the beginning, the pre-drop, and then obviously the jungle setting with the volcano was very, very cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into breathtaking. Like I said, Nemesis Haunted Towers would go exactly where that is too. I do find both the coasters really, really good, so, you know, I like them both equally. And I know a lot of people do prefer the Haunted Towers one, but I do prefer them to just both feel a bit equal, because I like both of them in the same way. So moving on to another coaster that I do generally think is another controversial one, is Saw the Ride. Now this is another one that I'm going to instantly put into amazing, because I do generally prefer this over Colossus, and I know a lot of people would have them swapped around. They would prefer Saw the Ride instead of Colossus, and they'd have Colossus in amazing. But I just think for me the theming for Saw, and also the attraction itself, and it's a lot less rough. Yeah, it may be a bit whippy, it may whip you around a little bit, but at the end of the day it's a little bit more smoother, and I do generally get quite a good thrill out of it, especially within the indoor section as well. It just feels a lot more fresh and new than Colossus. So yeah, that is the reason why I'm putting that ahead of Colossus. Moving on to Stealth then. Now, this is going to get a bit difficult, because obviously I'm going to put a coaster up in God's Tier, and there's only 2 or 3 more coasters left to do that. And Stealth will be the one that I'm going to put in God's Tier. Obviously, Stealth, it's just the best one there, and I know a lot of people do prefer Swarm, and I do, you know, really hold Swarm very close to Stealth, but Stealth does take the cake. I'm one to really like short and sweet coasters, so it'd be the same with Oblivion over Alton Towers. That is my favourite attraction there. I do like those quick, snappy, quick succession but big thrill coasters, which is why that is going into God's Tier. Now obviously next we've got Terror at Amity High, which is our last Fright Nights attraction, and this was obviously the show they put on last year as well as the Scare Zone they had the year before. I did experience it. I didn't actually experience the show, but I have seen the show on YouTube, so I can get a good idea of how that is. Obviously I really liked it as a Scare Zone. Obviously Fright Nights doesn't really touch over into the stealth area, so it was cool when they did announce that this would be within that area, so I was happy that they were kind of freshening it up with the Fright Night stuff there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into good. Yeah, I'm going to put that there because I haven't actually fully experienced the show in person, but I do really like the look of what they're going for there, and I do really like it as a thing, like I said, to spice up the over in Amity a little bit more during the Fright Nights event. Now we have Swarm here. This is a really easy one for me. That's going to go straight up into Breathtaking. Like I said, Swarm and Stealth are very, very close. I do really, really like Swarm, and I probably would put Swarm above all the other ones in there. Like I said, it's just nearing on God's here. But it's just one of those attractions that I think isn't as good as Stealth, but probably is my second favourite one there. Not really much to be said about that. I never really experienced it when it was backwards and when it was in its backwards ages, and I really wish I did. But other than that, it's just overall a very good attraction. Okay, so lastly then, we now have The Walking Dead The Ride. Now this is something that is going to be very unpopular with what I'm doing here, but I'm going to put that into Breathtaking. Now there's a very, very, very specific reason why I've done this, and that is because of memories. Now this is a very memorable coaster for me. I can remember getting excited about going this. I can remember not even knowing this was going to be there in 2018. It was a big surprise for me, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of those attractions that, with the actors, it really felt like a complete experience. You felt like you were embedded in that story, and I do hope that kind of theme does carry over with a lot of attractions in the future, because those types of things where you have you know, these stories that you're pushed in and you're forced into are really, really cool. It's very, very immersive, and I hope, like I said, Merlin do a lot more attractions like these. And the only one I can compare it to is Wicker Man, but the whole live action section at the end really made me feel like I was in that story, and yeah, I just really, really liked it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's one of those attractions for me that I do really, really like. So that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Obviously I've got my complete tier list here. If you want to screenshot that, by all means do it. If you don't agree with it, definitely let me know what you would do, whether or not you would have any of these other attractions in different positions, because yeah, I'd love to know what you guys are up to and what you guys are thinking. So other than that, it's like I said, if you guys want more of this, I will 100% do it. I've got a couple of really cool videos lined up. I've been really trying to space out my videos a little bit more recently, trying to make them as unique and as special as possible. So rather than just be sitting and just doing whatever comes to my mind, I really like to develop my ideas. The next video will most likely be a Planet Coaster themed video. It won't be the series. I know I'm really starting to lack on that at the moment, but that will be coming very soon, don't worry. But I'm just going to be looking at some other recreations that people have done. If you guys have any Planet Coaster recreations, definitely send them to me in the comments, and I'll definitely check them out. But I think I've got a cool Galactica one lined up to take a look at. Obviously, I'll give full credit to the person that's done it. I'm pretty sure they have a YouTube channel as well, but I'll do all that when we get into the video. I also do want to do some ride sims videos. I was thinking of doing a video where I just sat and did ride sims all day, like did a full shift. Like, you know, it would be at theme park from 10 AM to about 6 PM. So definitely thinking about doing that as well. That could be pretty cool. But yeah, other than that, they're the kind of ideas I've got at the moment. Definitely leave any you guys have as well, and I'll try and take them into account. So with all that said, I will see you guys later.